Welcome, Internet, to today's office hours here with Codelation, Wednesday, April 13th, 4:30 Central Time, coming to you live on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So, Codelation office hours are here to help answer your questions about entrepreneurship and startups. So, if you have questions, put them into the chat down below here. We're happy to jump in and help answer those questions for you. And we'll wait for a few people to kind of stream in here as we get going. And yeah, welcome to this week's office hours. So we're busy at Codelation these last couple weeks. We're going through some discovery processes with our clients and hoping to move into some bigger project work with our clients. So it's been an exciting time to kind of go through those discoveries. We have a user on LinkedIn ask, "Hey Josh, what do you do when you're feeling blocked creatively?" When I'm starting to have a block, sometimes it's good to just disconnect a little bit. I've got a lot of books on my desk here, and sometimes it's good just to get away and get perspective. Sometimes you're so into it and you're so close to what you're doing that it's hard to figure out really what that block is. So sometimes it is, just step away for a few hours, step away for a day, get that thing off your plate for a little bit if time will allow it, and come back to it when you've got the time to really lean into it and address it. The other thing that helps me personally is if I can time box what the solution is that I'm trying to drive forward. So a lot of times it's easy just to keep working and working and working. And what I'll do is in the morning, I'll put a note card on my desk here, and I'll put one big task, a couple medium tasks, and a few small tasks on there to know that I need to get those accomplished throughout the day. And so if I get to noon and I still have all my tasks left, or I've just knocked off a small one, I know that I'm not time boxing properly as well. So those are a few things that I use when I start to get blocked or kind of stuck with things. Is usually I'm just too close to it, and a little bit of stepping away, a little bit of rest helps me better understand what an outcome could be. So not always working harder on something, they say work smarter. So thank you for that question. And yes, this is a Coca-Cola cup from the late 90s. Can't remember where I got it, but I'm sure a Pizza Hut is one cup shorter from from the mid 90s. As I was talking earlier, we're going through a bunch of discovery phases. Those are always fun. Lots of energy, lots of effort that happens on both our side and the client side as well. So my energy might be a little bit low today, but that's not due to the great questions we're going to get here. It's just it's a lot to go through those discovery phases from kind of a business analyst perspective and help point out what we should be doing, how we're thinking about things. So typically for us, those are a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks on the front end of the project, and then we're able to break those down and kind of move the project forward from there. So it's nice to get all that pre-planning in place and then be able to just move into getting the work done from there. So otherwise, here at Codelation, we just had 2 new software engineers start. One's going to be started tomorrow. The other started earlier, I want to say last week. So welcome Michael and Nick to the Codelation team. We're looking forward to having you on board and getting moving with next steps. Eric on Facebook asks, "Is there anywhere I can go to get help with writing my business plan?" Yes, there's lots of places that you can go to get help with your business plan. If you're here in the Fargo area, I would reach out to Paul Smith at the North Dakota Small Business Center here, located up at the NDSU Research and Tech Park. Paul is a great resource to help focus in on that. If you're looking for more abbreviated things that maybe you can do on your own, I typically start with a lean business canvas, which is a one-page document that you can go through and fill out, and it kind of hits all the major points of your business plan without having to write a 30 or 40-page document. It's a good jumping off point to make sure that you're headed in the right direction. On Facebook, we have a question of, hi Josh, what is the difference between an angel investor and a venture capitalist? So both people give you money. I have not raised outside funds, so I think this could be something that if we had somebody they'll raise those funds, they could maybe speak in a little bit more detail than I could. But effectively, an angel investor is somebody that's willing to give you money ahead of revenues. It's someone that's there as an angel to help put money into the company. It's fairly high risk. Those also can be venture capitalists. It just really depends on when the money comes in. So typically an angel investor is when you're in your idea phase and you're trying to get the ball rolling. A typical venture capitalist would step in once there's users being acquired, once there's revenues there, and they're there to really pour gas on the fire. Angels a lot of times are friends and family. Sometimes they call them friends, family, and fools. Those are the investors that get involved early on. But that would be typically an angel investment would be, at that idea phase. It's still pretty fresh. They're just really there to help you out and try to get some capital into the business. Facebook asked the question, what would you tell someone that keeps putting off pursuing their idea? I would ask what the hesitation is. If it's someone that's got a family, a spouse, a significant other, is there risk of not wanting to take the leap and work on their idea full time? Is it a scarcity mindset, meaning that you're looking at it and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to fail. What happens if I fail? The way I would look at it is really worst case scenario. So let's say I went all in, I quit my day job, and I'm going to go work on this. How much time do I have before my savings run out, before my funding is gone? And can I live with that scenario if I was to walk into it? I wouldn't suggest you running away from a day job to do that. I would recommend if you're going to pursue your idea, you need to be doing this part-time on the nights, on the weekends. You want to keep that safety net of an income there and be able to count on it. So the way I would look at it is keep your day job and then say, in 3 months, where do I need to be? In 6 months, where do I need to be? And use those hard timelines as the motivation to get you moving. Because if you're able to start something and have income coming in or getting feedback from it, it's a lot easier to say, now I've got momentum. It's one of the 27 irrefutable laws of leadership is momentum. Is one of my favorites. So get that momentum going. Then you've got the ability to step away from a day job, join the Great Resignation and move on to your own thing. We have another question from Facebook, and it is, how do I create a successful roadmap for my company? I would start with what success looks like to you. And is that a part-time, gig to where you're making a few extra $100 to, maybe pay for a toy or a new car? Is it something that it's a lifestyle business that you're able to work 20 hours a week and then go explore your passions with the rest of the time? I would start with what is success, because that means so many different things from so many different people. If you're the Grant Cardones of the world, it's billions of dollars under management. If it's, somebody that just came from a career of, working at Microsoft or Amazon at, 100-hour work weeks, and you're just burnt out and you want a sustainable, business that's going to pay your bills and there's less stress, start there and then reverse engineer, reverse engineer Like, let's say I want to be working 20 hours a week, 6 months from now. What's the income I need to have? What are the deals I need to sell? What's the team I need around me? And just back yourself into what do I need to do tomorrow to get to that level of success. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat here. All right. We have one coming in from LinkedIn next. The question is, where would you go if you wanted to work on gathering allies and fans? Something in our 13 steps is the concept of 100 allies. And 100 allies is really the thought process of, if I had an email list of 100 people that are going to be fans of what I'm trying to do. It could be target customers. It could be, support people, friends, family. Like, they're there to help me get my idea off the ground. I would go and try to find where those people live in socials to begin with. So there's channels that get noisy. There's channels that it's tough to, everyone's on Facebook, everyone's on LinkedIn. Are there opportunities to go into some more niche channels like indie hackers or Quora, and start joining groups that you can be involved in and not really selling into, but being able to ask questions, and they say, well, what are you working on? Because in those, like in indie hackers, everyone's trying to figure out what it is they're doing and giving advice to each other. So if you went and joined some indie hacker groups, started following some people, and just start saying, hey, here's what I'm trying to solve. Is anybody in this group, struggling with something similar? That's an easy way to get some wins of, like, I don't know these people. They're struggling with it. Are they going to give me real feedback? I would assume yes, versus if I was to go ask my brother or my cousin, they're going to say yes because they want me to succeed. So I would start in places to where you've got some friendlies, and also you've got some of your potential end users, your customers there. Facebook asks the next question: is it okay to reorganize priority of features in the feature backlog during product development? So it's a lot of terminology in there, and I'll clarify a few of those pieces for people that may not know. So Codelation operates in a agile development format, meaning we have a backlog or a column in our Trello board for future enhancements that we may want to do to our project, to our website, whatever it is we're working on. And so we go through a process of being able to pull things off the backlog into our current sprint, which is just a time box 2-week period of time. So as that sprint is in flight, the team is working on those items. They've been time sized into a point to where we feel confident we can get these accomplished in this sprint. So our backlog is kind of our parking lot for future features that we want to work on. And it's absolutely okay for the product owner, the person responsible for the business side, to come in and reprioritize where those are at based around timeline, budget, gut feel, whatever it is. And so when we get to the next sprint planning, something that could have been 5 or 6 on the list may be a 1 now. And we hope that happens because we want them to be talking with their customers. We want to make sure that you're not just doing this development in isolation. You're bringing in stakeholders, you're bringing in customers, you're bringing in people that can help mold what it is you're doing. All right. LinkedIn asked the question, what is growth hacking? Think of growth hacking as, excuse me, got a frog somewhere stuck in my throat here. Growth hacking is really just marketing and sales that's focused around growth. So there's little tips and tricks that you can do that maybe not everyone's doing. So think of it as you found ways as a marketer to be able to grow your email list, your business, in ways that not everyone is trying to do. Not everyone's going on Indie Hackers and trying to start a relationship. In 2010, 2007, not everyone is going on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Like, as new marketing opportunities come up, you may look at this and I may say like TikTok, I'm an old man, I don't get it. But there's an audience that's there, and that audience is receptive to the marketers in that space until there's a quote out there, marketers ruin everything. And it's just that once you start seeing traction and someone writes a book about how to do the thing, or is on Facebook showing you how I growth hacked my way to 100 million users, everyone's trying to do that thing. So the space gets really, really noisy. So what are the ways that you can hack marketing that not everyone is utilizing? We have a client, or a former client of ours, in the ag tech space, and they were able to leverage news postcard mailers. And that was extremely successful for them because they're not marketed to, they're not online typically, but they're able to get the postcard in the mail and then go check out what they're doing. And in a very digital age, everyone thinks that it needs to be something like a digital solution. Sometimes it's the opposite of, where isn't it noisy? Like, can I send direct mail to my customers and get them to respond? Because maybe they don't get mail anymore. Maybe that's more of a novelty at this point. I've seen that with a lot of capital companies that are trying to get people to take loans from them, is that they're sending physical mail with big printouts and mailers and everything like that. So hopefully that answers what is growth hacking. Facebook asked the question, what should I do if I make a mistake on a social media platform? I think everyone's going to make a mistake in social media to some extent. I would own up to it. I would, call it is what it is. Like, what did we do that was wrong? Obviously there's there's people that have said, well, my account got hacked or something else. I think that just that reduces trust. And so if you said something or did something on social media, like, say everyone's human. And I think they will trust brands that lean into that and say, hey, this happened. This was not an okay thing for us to say. It wasn't an okay thing for us to post. And just be authentic and lean into it. And sometimes the medicine on that is more difficult than if you were to take it down. But I do think that grows some trust and also gives an opportunity for your followers to lean into and say, like, they can start asking questions, and does that help strengthen their connection with your brand or with you personally? It's really easy to just delete and run away from. But that's one guy's opinion on how to handle it. Certainly leave that up to you and your social media strategy for how you want to handle those things. So thank you for all the good questions so far. If you do have a question, put it into the chat down below on YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and we will get it here on our Restream channel. Just taking a look back through all the questions, see if there's anything I might have missed. We are doing office hours every other week. So if you do have questions, we'll be coming to you live again on the 27th of April. Feel free to share this with your friends, your family, anyone that's trying to start a business, start a brand, start a startup. And we have a question coming in from YouTube. So any tips for attracting applicants to join a startup? If you're really just trying to get your business off the ground and starting, there's a lot of stuff that you don't know as the owner, as the CEO. And so you want to make sure that when you're hiring, you know what success looks like for that position. And whether that's somebody in marketing, development, sales, you want to have expectations to be able to manage. And you want to set those up front. If it's something to where your startup is needing a lot of attention and we're really trying to stretch to make every dollar matter, as everybody is, be honest and upfront with the people in the interview process of it. We expect 6 months and we're going to be running 50, 60 hours a week. what's the upside for them? Why should they want to do that? Does that distract them? Does that make them more bought into the brand and the vision? Like, know what success is, and then just be honest and real with people, because there's nothing worse than saying, I'm going to take a shot on something, and you find out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks into it that this is not what you signed up for. This was smoke and mirrors, and this is not good. I think it happens to everyone trying to hire, and yeah, just really make sure that you're doing what you can to know what success is, and then also expectations for that person coming on board. And hopefully that's a good recipe for success for you and the new team member that's going to be joining you. LinkedIn asks the question, which market characteristics should I pay attention to when performing a competitive analysis? Well, that one's above my pay grade for sure. I'm going to simplify that down a little bit and just say, when I'm looking at the competition, what am I looking at? So one is who is direct competition, who's indirect competition. So for instance, direct competition in our market may be another development shop in town, or regionally. Indirect competition may be the outsourcing to a shop in India, or an offshores operation, bringing in your own developer in-house. What is the pros and cons to somebody hiring us versus hiring another agency? How are we pricing ourselves? And then also, how are we marketing or explaining ourselves? And so if you can get a good feel for what they're doing in the space, like we've got an agency locally that we know pretty well, and they've got direct salespeople, and they're also doing, some things like they've got some billboards in the area. They seem to be doing quite well. At this point, we don't have anyone that's a salesperson like beating the streets. We've chosen to go after marketing and relationship building as our way of driving new business. So you could be looking at a lot of different pieces, but at the end of the day, who is that end user? What do they care about? And is that competitor really a direct or indirect competitor? And that can be anything from something that's maybe not super competitive, all the way down to apathy of the users, just not going to do anything about the problem. So I would try to focus in on those pieces when you're analyzing your competitors in the space. Facebook asks, how do you write your business why statement? So that's something we focus on at Codelation quite a bit, is the why. Why should we care? Why should we be doing this? Why should we put time into it? And I would focus on your why statement as true and vulnerable as you can make it. If your why statement is because I want to exit the business or I want to make a lot of money, you're going to hit some really hard times in business and you're going to give up. But if your why is to, change how the homeless problem is solved in your community, like, does that keep you on track when you have no money in the bank? You have no, fundraising opportunities. You're kind of down and out. Like, you want to focus in on the reason behind why you get up every morning, because money, it'll get you a long way, but it's not going to sustain you when stuff gets really tough. So I would challenge you to really say you need to be passionate and care about what you're doing. I've shared before that I've started a number of things and shut them all down because they weren't passion projects for me. They weren't things that I got up and said, gosh, I really need to solve this problem around X. It was just something I saw an opportunity and said, I'm going to do this. And you give up on those ideas because they're not close enough to personal impact for you. LinkedIn asked the question, how can I be a good product owner during development? The product owner role in our world means that it's a person from the business that's paying us for the development. The product owner has the ability to say yes and no to what features are prioritized. They're able to say yes to what costs and scope and everything. So they're the ones that are driving the ship forward for the project development. To be a good product owner, you need to be able to be decisive. You need to know the business well, in and out. You need to be open for feedback and input. And you also need to understand kind of the roadmap of where the project's going. And I've seen a lot of product owners try to delegate responsibilities to somebody else to say, I want my team involved. And in reality, they're behind the scenes trying to pull the levers. And it never works out really well because you've got somebody that feels discounted and kind of a puppet for the project. And then the product owner, the business owner is kind of behind the scenes, feels like, well, they didn't get it, they didn't do it right. So we want to make sure that that product owner is really empowered to understand the decisions they're making, and it takes a lot of time and also the right personality and understanding of the project. We've had clients that they'll start a project, we'll get into it, and they'll go, holy smokes, this is way more expectations from me than I thought it would be. Like, I need to get somebody else in the seat that can drive it forward, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a lot of attention to detail. It's making sure that you're understanding a lot of different pieces, and it's a tough thing to do. Like I was saying earlier, these discoveries that we go into are really draining. They're emotionally and physically just taxing. So it's a lot of energy cycles thinking through all of this. So just making sure that the tank is full when you're going into a project is definitely a big win. So we're coming up at the top of the hour here, so we've got a few more minutes for another question or two. If anyone has them, put them into the chat down below, and I will do my best to answer them. Like I was saying, we hold office hours every other Wednesday at 4:30 to 5 Central Time. So if you weren't able to make this one in person, certainly put this on your calendar. They go live to our Facebook and LinkedIn group on a regular basis when they're coming up. So click on the Remind Me button, and we'll be seeing you in the next one here. So one last question comes in from Facebook. How can I keep my allies involved as I progress working on my idea? That is a great question. And there's a tool from Y Combinator Startup School. So Startup School is a free thing you can sign up for through Y Combinator, which is a very big in kind of the startup tech space. Basically what they do is they come in and they will invest in companies they like the idea of and help foster them kind of into the market. They're a startup accelerator, and really tough one to get into as well. They have a tool that you can invite your allies to, or they can sign up for, and you're able to go in on a weekly basis and enter some information of how many, what's my revenue year to date, how many users am I working with, what are the challenges, and then it sends everyone an email every week that you fill it out. And that's a really great tool to use. I've seen another startup here locally that has put together a PDF and emails it out to a select group of people each and every month. And you may not think that it's a good use of time or it's cost effective, but what I can tell you is that you've got a lot of allies and friends that are on the outside, and when they see those things come in, it puts you top of mind for them. So if it's like, hey, I just saw that they're looking for an introduction into a school district, and it's like, well, I know this person here at Fargo Public Schools or in this Dilworth or wherever it is. Are you able to help them out in ways that they would have never known that you have that connection, that you have a resource? And so I think just constant contact with that group of people, even if that's just putting them on a MailChimp list, reaching out to them and saying, I'd like to keep you involved in the journey as we're going along. Would you mind if I put you on our list? I don't think many people are going to say no to that. But also know that when you do that, people are seeing it and they may not be reaching out to you, but they're watching the journey and they're cheering for you. So just know that there's a lot of good ways to reach out, and don't feel like you're bugging or pestering them, because people want to raise everyone up and celebrate. So that brings us to 5. Thank you so much for joining this week's office hours. Good group of questions. Join us again here in 2 weeks on the 27th for our next round of office hours. If you have questions in the meantime, certainly go to any of our social sites, to our website, submit your question, and we're happy to help. We're happy to do what we can to help further grow the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you in 2